This Halloween, ghoul all out with Instacart. Whether you're hunting for the perfect costume, eyeing that giant bag of candy, or casting spells with eerie decor, we've got it all in one place. Download the Instacart app and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Plus, enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Service fees, other fees, and additional terms apply. Instacart, bringing the store to your door this Halloween.
Hey guys, and welcome to Criminality, the podcast we know where we know that loving reality TV isn't a crime. But gosh, do they make it so easy for us to love watching them and also ruining their own lives. Rebecca, how are you?
I'm great. You couldn't have said it better. That's exactly what it is.
You're sweet, because that sounded quite delusional. And I don't trust you anymore. So there we go.
Lie to me. Lie to each other.
Just kidding.
That's what we do.
Well, okay. Lie to Me reminds me that Dead to Me, remember the Dead to Me show that we loved?
Our favorite.
Linda.
Cardinelli?
Yes.
Something like that.
She's in a new show.
I love her.
That's going to be on Netflix. That's by the same people that did Dead to Me. I know. I think Lisa Kudrow's in it, and I love her. I'm not a Friends fan, but I love
Lisa
her.
Kudrow's amazing. And the show you introduced me to that she did, obviously way post Friends, was so good. What's it called?
So good. Well, there's the comeback, and then there's the
therapy one.
Therapy, talk therapy, web therapy.
Web therapy.
So dumb. I love
the
it.
comeback is my favorite of the two.
Right? It's so good.
Well, that's super exciting.
That makes me so happy.
Something to look forward to. I feel like we're getting into must-see TV mode because Bravo, finally, it's like we're back. You know, we've got some premieres and seasons and franchises coming back. It was like a desert for a minute.
It was. And there were, 2 Bravo premieres this week. It's going to be Potomac, right? And New York?
Well, right. New York, at the time of this recording, has happened. What is the date for Potomac? I did see the extended trailer, which was phenomenal.
Right. I think it's Sunday.
Sunday. It is usually a Sunday night show. Yeah, that sounds right. And then obviously, you know, Salt Lake City, we're just a few weeks in, and that's like, so it just feels like finally we're back.
We're here.
Yeah.
But give me till next week and I'll be complaining about like, why is there so much going on right now?
I know.
I can't keep up.
It's
So
either
I'll never be happy.
feast or famine over here, you know? But right now I feel relieved because I was getting really tired of looking at the women on Orange County. And the New York women are so fun to... No, it's been a great season. I just don't enjoy looking at them the way I do New York.
Okay.
Is that...
No, you're good. I'm still not totally convinced on the New York reboot. I haven't watched the episode yet. I almost wish they would call it something else just to be like...
I agree.
It's not season 15. This is season 2 of...
Well,
whatever.
Actually, I don't know if I agree. And I'm not even saying I love it so much. I'm just saying those women are beautiful. They dress well. They're smart and funny. And I've been missing that. While watching OC, I've been enjoying that season because it's a mess.
Sure.
But I can't call anyone particularly like funny, smart, or beautiful. So sorry. I said what I said.
I'm not repeating anything you just said. Great. I'm excited. I'm glad that you're excited. Also, Love is Blind dropped today. Have you started?
No, it's my treat. I'm going to watch it after we're finished. I waited all day. And if I'm really honest, that's the show that's been getting me through my life. More than any Real Housewives premiere is like Love is Blind is back and it's in DC, which I don't know. Yeah. I just feel like that's going to be some special kind of hellish dude. And I am so excited.
I agree. It's going to give to me, I think of what Dan Egan from Veep.
Yeah.
His whole, like, that's what I'm hoping to see. I'm not looking for happiness on these shows ever. I'm looking for this.
I think it's going to be like power-hungry douchebags and some women.
Oh, everybody looks fairly normal. When I looked at the pictures, I was like, no one
seen any.
I did last week. It was like nobody looks like they're already Instagram influencers. That's what I should say. Everyone's beautiful.
Right.
It's always that way. But they don't look like they're promoting something already.
See, I like that. That makes me even more excited because it's also like, I bet they're actually people with different ambitions because DC is such a unique place. Like you're there for, like New York, or LA, you could be in these big cities for so many reasons. But I feel like you're in DC to be in politics or government adjacent.
I'm excited. So let us know if you're watching it.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. That'll be something to look forward to for sure. But Rebecca, there's something that we should talk about today. That's something that I did look forward to and I enjoyed, and I think you did too. So before we actually get into that, go back in time with me to 2020, your favorite year. You remember the one. In 2020, Tiger King was, well, king.
Mm-hmm.
And making your own sourdough was really everything. Did you ever get into the sourdough thing?
No, we didn't make our own bread.
Me either. And thanks to a little app, we could see normal, everyday people eating their homemade sourdough while talking about Tiger King. And also there was a lot of dancing.
Yes.
Back in 2020, I was strong. I would watch Instagram Reels, and I had no desire to download what I considered to be just a dancing app, TikTok. So imagine my surprise in 2024 when I get my screen time reports on my phone and realize the number one app I visit is TikTok.
I'm not shocked. Just based on what you deliver to me and how much you know.
Careful.
No, it's not a dig.
Careful.
It's just, of course, you're in the know. I'm grateful.
I like that you turned it from you're obsessed to look how smart you are now.
Finger on the pulse.
And so, of course, TikTok isn't new. It's been around for a few years. In fact, we actually knew it as Musical.ly back in 2014.
Oh, yeah. And wasn't there a big controversy about kids being on it? Do you remember
100%.
that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I just had like flashbacks of, because my kids would have been in grades where that was a big conversation happening. Oh, my gosh. Forgot about that. Yep.
Yeah. So it was Musical.ly, eventually rebranded to TikTok. And the app is now the 5th most downloaded app behind Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and WhatsApp.
Wow.
Right? I mean, it's like a part of the culture now. There's no getting around it.
Yeah. I mean, even it comes up even in politics, speaking of DC, right? Because of our privacy, and are they going to sell it? And are we all going to lose everything? It's very relevant, whether you like it or not.
Take all of my information. Just give me like coupons and stuff for things I need. And like, I don't care. I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot I want out of life. Sad. Okay. All that to say that part of TikTok's charm is really its algorithm. I've been trying to help you with your algorithm.
Yeah. I'm too inconsistent. It has not yet figured me out, which is fine.
Yeah, mine's gone through some stages, but I think it pretty much knows who I am now. Although I am stuck on a guy, and I get daily updates, who got a job at Goodwill, but he's worried because he's had ringworm on his part for 20 years. And he's like, I got to get this cleared up before I go. I can't handle people's clothes. This has been 2 weeks of him talking about this.
Whoa. Why would you tell me that? I
Fungal
love
shell.
Goodwill.
Fungal shell.
No.
That is the word.
Stop.
To be fair to TikTok, I think I got there because a guy on 90 Day Fiance that I haven't really watched but kind of watched, he goes and tells somebody he has an STD. So I think when I clicked on more, they were like, you want the fungal shell.
She likes infectious diseases and men.
And updates on it every day. His mom will not help him get money to go to the doctor. But that's beside the point, Rebecca. Let me, hopefully you guys have all been blessed with that as well. So the real thing that my algorithm feeds me besides that is Moo Dang, the baby hippo.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. Yeah.
I've only read the name. I don't know. Hearing it was like unfamiliar.
Trust me, I was like, as soon as I said it, I was like, I didn't do it right. But I think I might be. I also get the Real Housewives as Barbie dolls, which I always send to you.
So great.
And of course, I love any video that has to do with Zoloft or Wellbutrin or Lexapro, any of those, I'm your girl. But back in 2022, a video stitch came up on my FYP, that's my For You page for the non-Rizzlers out there. And when I saw this video, it shocked me to my core. And of course, I'm talking about the infamous video of one Whitney Levitt dancing to Kendrick Lamar's Love and popping her booty like it's her job, which actually kind of it is. Mm-hmm. And while this can be par for the course on the app, the shocking part came when you read the text over the video and also happened to see the teeny tiny little baby in his little hospital cage.
Incubator.
An incubator while she's dancing and seeing the words going over that were like, baby Liam wasn't breathing well. Pop lock, I don't know.
Twerk.
Twerk. He had RSVP and, he's RSVP. It's been a long day.
You were invited to the TikTok dance in my son's hospital room. RSVP,
apparently. RSVP to the RSV. So he had RSV and she's dancing and people are like, what the crap is this?
We talked about this.
Yeah.
On the last episode. Even that broke through even to my world.
I mean, imagine how big this was for Rebecca to get to it. And so after almost 2 million views and thousands of stitches, which is basically like a quote tweet for you, Whitney actually took down the video.
Yeah.
That's when, without even knowing it, we were introduced to Mom Talk. We had no idea.
No.
And Rebecca, today we're going to talk about Mom Talk. And while Whitney will come up, she's not the focus of today.
Really?
No. That goes to the hashtag Mom Talk creator and soft swinger self-admitter, Taylor Frankie Paul. Now, Rebecca, if you had to define Mom Talk, what would you say it is?
Well, it's an assault on our culture, but literally it is a group of young Mormon moms who are friends, quote unquote, maybe, we don't know sometimes, who dance on TikTok and got very, very popular. And now they're influencers and do brand deals.
Okay, that's much better than what I wrote, which was just get Rebecca's answer. But really, everything you said was true, but it really started off with Taylor. And so she's kind of known as the face of Mom Talk.
Yeah.
And so a few months ago, we started getting commercials for a show about Mormon moms and Mormon adjacent moms in Utah. And no, I'm not talking about sister wives for once. Surprising. Yeah. I'm also not talking about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, although I'm sure Whitney Levitt did smell like hospital in that RSV video. I'm talking about the new hit show on Hulu, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Love it. Leave it. Love it.
Love it. You introduced me. I mean, I'd seen it. You said you suggested. I went in and you know what? This was the show that filled that desert gap we were just talking about when there were no Bravo shows or not nearly enough. This was the show that kind of scratched that itch, right?
Right. Absolutely. And when I say that this was a hit, I really mean that. So remember when the Kardashians moved to Hulu?
Yeah.
And Hulu thought they had this cash cow on their hands?
Yeah.
This is going to be hard for me to do, but I'm going to do it. Well, move over, Chris and company. The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives have outperformed the Kardashians and have become Hulu's most watched unscripted premiere in all of 2024.
Wow.
You know they paid a pretty penny for that, right? Like the Kardashians. Can you imagine?
My gosh. No wonder they've just announced the season 2. Sorry if that was a spoiler, but
it's okay.
People are just so hungry for more.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
By the way, a little disclaimer. A few years ago, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints actually moved away from using the term Mormons and encouraged the use of Latter-day Saints or members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm not saying that against you. That's literally the next thing in my note.
Got it.
But because on the show, the women refer to themselves as being Mormon, we're going to do that as well. Though, I mean, obviously, no disrespect. Most of my favorite people belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And with that, I'd also like to add that this show did not represent all of their beliefs, at least not 100% or even like 20%.
Probably not.
Right? It felt like we were watching The Exceptions, for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of like unraveling stories and loosely connected to Mormon religion. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a lot of like afterwards you'd learn like, oh, I haven't been to the church in like 18 years.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, okay, you guys were just kind of using the name. And so obviously that can come with issues, but the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints actually released a statement about the show. And they said, like other prominent global faith communities, it often finds itself the focus of the attention of the entertainment industry. Some portrayals are fair and accurate, but others resort to stereotypes or gross misrepresentations that are in poor taste and have real-life consequences for people of faith. So they're basically saying the same thing we just did, which is close, but not too close.
Exactly. They don't speak for all of us.
Okay, Rebecca, should we talk about the show and how it even came to be?
Please.
Okay. So back in 2022, cameras are rolling in Utah a few months after a viral TikTok video made international news. Not the one we talked about before. It's a different one. And this live TikTok, which the worst thing to come across is a live TikTok. I don't know if you've ever, it's always the worst day for somebody asking for money. My live ones are just upsetting. I have to scroll through it.
Is there lots of crying?
There's crying. There's people like calling people trash because they're like, well, if you want to give me money, you can. If not, you're trash. And then one guy who's selling a book about a turtle that he wrote, and he comes up every day for me. And I don't want to block him because I don't want to be mean, but I can't take seeing this turtle book because it makes me so sad. And I want to buy one, but then my algorithm's going to be stuck on him and the turtle and the fungus guy. Okay, back. But in this live video, I wish I would have caught it when it was live. Taylor Frankie Paul, who we're just going to call Taylor from now on because this is too much, she started talking openly about her extracurricular activities, right? She's talking in this live and saying she and her husband are separated and kind of goes into what happened, what led to this. And she starts sharing about these parties that she and her husband had. Now, not a partier. I've actually never been offered a drug, never like in my life. It's sad. Like no one wants to offer me a little bit of crack. I don't get it.
Okay, we don't need to start with crack, Melissa. That shouldn't be like the go-to offhand comment. Like if only someone would offer me crack. I don't think crack gets offered.
So I'm not a partier per that last thing we were talking about, but I'm even less of a Taylor party girl. The party she's describing is less singing happy birthday and eating cake and more Taylor, her best friend, and another friend, along with all their husbands, soft swinging. Now, Rebecca, were you aware of this soft swinging Taylor TikTok live back in 2022?
No.
Ooh,
I feel like I know all about it now, but only secondhand and because of this whole show.
So I do remember hearing about this video, and while I was surprised to hear someone openly speaking about what I think is a personal decision, I didn't know Taylor. I'm not one of her 4.8 million followers.
Dang.
So to me, I'm like, it's your choice, whatever, it doesn't affect me. But the media goes crazy for this Mormon girl who creates mom talk and speaks about swapping partners with her friends, who apparently were also part of #MomTalk. Okay, and while Taylor didn't name names, so to speak, people quickly were able to figure out from following the MomTalk hashtag who was who.
Of course they were.
I would love to play like so many videos of them like dancing and stuff, but they're not saying anything. This is an audio thing. And all it is like a song and them dancing. And one time Taylor's answering somebody if her baby has hydrocephalus, but she doesn't say it. She dances it. And, but I'm just saying it doesn't work for this. So just trust us on this. Rebecca, I know you didn't know about this beforehand, but now that you've heard soft swinging, do you know what soft swinging is or what she refers to as soft swinging?
Well, I think as they refer to it, or she, it's like, it's switching partners,
right?
Everything except full on sexual intercourse.
And your partner has to be there. So it's not like a separate situation.
Yeah. But I thought all swinging was like that. I thought it was, but
this is like in the room. I think sometimes people swing and just like
pair
a
off
tea party
in
or
different
something.
rooms. Yeah. Oh God, the Ice Storm movie, so good.
Wait, what
Did you
movie?
ever see that?
Oh, Ice Storm.
Ice Storm.
Yeah,
They had those parties. Yeah, it's such a good movie.
So people basically say to Taylor, hey, why did you go on a live and out everyone, even if she didn't name people? And she said basically, everyone already knew that this was going on. There was like rumors on Reddit that there's some kind of swinging, and she's being called by all of her friends or people that know them, like, you wrecked your marriage, you cheated on your husband. So she's specifically being called out, and she's like, why should I take the whole heat when 5 other people are involved?
Wait, sorry, hold on.
No, I got confused. I confused myself. Go ahead.
Why did people assume she cheated if it was like a consensual swing? Or was that just comments and trolls saying you're a cheater?
There was, yes, that, but there was also one of the women, I should say, called her husband. It's so confusing, but basically there were people saying more than they should have to each other's spouses. And so however it got to that, it became like a whole other another thing.
Some of that was explained actually in the show, like feelings were had and there was confessions. Caught feelings, she said a million times. But the point being, she thought like better to say, yes, I'm getting a divorce. Here's why. And it wasn't that I was cheating on my husband. If I'm going down, we're all going down. Yeah.
So, Rebecca, in 2022, apparently Jeff Jenkins Productions heard about this and was like, yes, girl, let's learn more about these Mom Talk ladies and hope they can serve us a show. Rebecca, Jeff Jenkins Production, does that ring a bell to you?
It does, but I don't know what he did.
Oh, you will.
The name sounds very
right. So he's behind several shows that we know and love, including a favorite of both of ours, at least the first season, Bling Empire. A favorite of mine, Little Women LA. And a favorite of yours, My Unorthodox Life.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I knew you'd be excited about that one.
Pretty good hits.
Yeah. I mean, he does nothing but bangers. So back to 2022, Jeff Jenkins Production begins filming Taylor along with her friends Macy, Michaela, and Whitney. So original Mom Talk was Taylor, Miranda, and Courtney. Those are the 3. I'm not saying that they were part of the swinging group.
Understood.
But that's all I'm saying. They were 2 of the originals. So those 3 were the original ones that would make these videos. They would do some together, some on their own, whatever. Like a year or so later, Macy, Michaela, and Whitney came along, and they became part of Mom Talk as well. Later, more girls would join Mom Talk and even the show, but really in 2022, it's the fallout of this. These are like the main players they have. And if you're curious about why Mom Talk even matters, well, it's very lucrative. How many of them were like supporting their families? I know Jen Affleck was.
Making more than their husbands or entirely supporting their families. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So being a part of Mom Talk, which is basically Mormon moms in Utah who sometimes collaborate together in addition to doing videos on their own, becomes like a big thing. If you can be a part of it, it's great. But of course, if somebody says, hey, 2 swingers who were also in Mom Talk with me, guys, figure out who it is. I'm not going to say yes or no on people. Now, if you're part of Mom Talk and you are not a part of this swinging thing, especially if you're part of the church or anything like that, it's going to affect you.
Sure. That there's even the implication of your involvement.
Absolutely. Yes. So back to the OG 4 that are going to be filmed for the pilot. None of these girls were involved in the soft swinging, as I said, besides Taylor. But since they were all part of the Mom Talk group, as I said, people assumed they were. So while Taylor was always vocal about it, the actual girls that were involved in the scandal were not. In fact, production did try to get the other 2 women that were involved in Elle's scandal, and they actually even considered joining the show at one point. But one of them ended up saying, quote, I already got exploited on the internet without my consent. You think I'm going to ask for that? And I don't blame her.
Yeah, that sounds wise, actually.
Yeah. So in 2022, cameras are rolling. Not a ton is happening. At the time of filming, Taylor and her husband have split.
Yeah.
And those other 2 couples that were part of Swing Talk, I don't know, they split as well.
Right.
So when cameras are up, it's a couple months after Taylor's done this confession talk, and she's now dating a guy by the name of Dakota Mortensen.
Ugh.
Yeah, He slid into her DMs, I assume. I think that's...
He did.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so. And no, right
He's
away.
like a fan.
And so she's just gotten out of this marriage. The whole country has known, whether they wanted to or not, minus Rebecca, that she was involved in this, swinging thing. Her family knows, it's a lot. And so she starts dating this guy, Dakota, but she's said they weren't exclusive at first. How many times did we hear that on the show?
Oh, yeah.
About their original dating, whatever.
Blurry. Yeah.
Very blurry. But I guess really it depends on who you ask, whether you ask Taylor or Dakota, because Taylor said she wasn't seeing anyone else. And Dakota said he really wasn't either. But as we learn on the show, when they weren't a couple, he did sleep with a girl that Taylor knew one night, then slept with Taylor the next night, and then went back to that girl the next night. Yeah. It's like a Dakota sandwich and
Ew.
Trademark.
Why would you ruin our brand, Sandwich Media, by adding Dakota?
Anyhow, Taylor finds this out. She's upset, especially because she's hanging out with this girl at a pool party one of those days, like maybe the middle of the day, I don't know, and had no idea this was going on.
What a life these girls have, by the way.
I know, when they're like,
Hook
we're
up
at a pool party.
And dancing and soda shops.
So many soda shops. So yeah, they don't realize that they've both been with Dakota in the biblical sense back to back to back. Here's the thing about Taylor. I thought she was going to be the villain. What about you?
100%. It was set up that way. It looked to be that way. She looks like the villain of a show.
She's
plot
not.
Twist. I know.
Big plot twist. I actually really like her. And
yeah, me too.
I see her as a broken bird. Like, and if this was Watch What Crappens, they'd do a Lisa Vanderpump impression here. And while the show has started to follow this fallout of the soft swinging scandal, there was about a year break between that first episode being filmed and when cameras picked up.
Which is very confusing for the viewer if you're not tightly dialed in clocking that. Like, I was so confused at first.
It was really wild because typically, too many things changed between the first and the second. And we'll get into what happened in the time between after a quick break to hear a word from this week's sponsors.
You know that feeling when you find change in your couch cushion, or even better, a balled up dollar bill in your pocket when it comes out of the dryer? Well, imagine that feeling, but better, when you start investing using Acorns. It's so easy to do. Even Melissa and I can do it. And you can believe me when I say that because we have both been happy Acorns investors even before they came on as a sponsor. Acorns makes it easy to start automatically saving and investing for your future. We love that you don't need a lot of capital to start. In fact, that spare change in the couch I mentioned, you could just use that. I chose to round up all my debit and credit card purchases to the nearest dollar, and Acorns takes that money and puts it aside for me to invest. I don't even feel it. But when I check the Acorns app, there's a little pile of money that's been invested for me. It's so easy and such a great way to begin investing that isn't intimidating or prohibitively expensive. If you'd like to start investing with Acorns, head to acorns.com/criminality or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. Client testimonial. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/criminality.
In the most recent episode of Killer Psyche, they're going to take you inside the mind of a once-in-a-generation serial killer while the case is still unfolding. Rex Heuermann of the Gigolo Beach murders is awaiting trial for the murder of at least 3 women, with many more suspected victims still being linked to him. Now, a recently released tell-all bail application goes into unusual detail and links to keep him locked away, revealing shocking updates about the case and insight into murderous pathology. Listen as there is a deep dive done into the charges against Heuermann and new evidence, which brings insight into what we already know about the case and also what motivated him. Follow Killer Psyche on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Killer Psyche early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
It's 2024, and there's two things we know for sure. The first is we all should be stretching more, but the second is you're going to be navigating a lot of situations in work life.
How do I get promoted?
Do my coworkers make more than me?
Should I tell my boss his breath smells?
On top of all that, you're still expected to network, get promoted, and draft the funniest Slack that your coworkers have ever seen.
Yeah, Kayla, you still need to work on that. But do not worry, we're here on Per My Last Email to help you deal with it all.
I'm Kayla Lopez, Morning Brew's Director of Consumer Revenue, but I've also been a Director of Content, an Editor, an Equity Research Analyst, and more.
And I'm Kyle Hagee, Morning Brew's Chief of Staff to our COO, and I've worked across nonprofits, government, and startups, and Kayla and I have been coworkers for the past 3 years.
And friends for 2.
Wait, what?
And we've got the hot takes and tactics on how you can navigate tricky work situations.
And clearly we don't always agree.
Oh, that's
Weird
so
flex.
funny. I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Why?
Hard work gatekeeping.
Yes.
You said your brand is respectable cringe.
I'm going to regret saying that.
Yeah, but I see it, like... But you'll walk away feeling better equipped to accelerate your career.
So join us each week on Per My Last Email on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, so Soft Swingers, Dakota's Behaving Badly, and Broken Birds. When you watch The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, you'll notice very quickly there's a huge difference, as we said before, from episode 1 to episode 2. And no, I'm not talking about Whitney Lovett's husband's facial hair changes or hair color.
He's a different person.
Right?
Every episode.
Everyone.
Yes. And I mean, if he's not right next to her and we see him in the shot, I'm like, who's this guy?
I know, it's like a new guy all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like I have facial blindness or something when I see him.
There's someone that we were talking about on another episode that was the same. Oh, it was actually, I don't think I talked about it on the episode, but also a person of my last episode.
Brooke Mueller?
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Brooke Mueller looks different in every picture I've seen, or mostly pictures. She really can look very different. Anyway, go on. It's such an interesting thing when you see someone like that.
Yeah, for sure. Really, the big thing is from episode 1 to episode 2 is that Taylor and her new boo, Dakota, are actually pregnant. She is about 11 months pregnant with his baby. And oh, by the way, there was a domestic violence arrest in between that first and second episode, which we're going to get into, but let's get back to the first episode. So there's a scene in this episode that was very pivotal in the entire plot. And I feel like it shows Taylor's disconnect at the time. So in this first episode, the women, friends, if you will, are sitting around discussing what's been going on in their lives and how will #MomTalk survive the fallout of this scandal. So Whitney ends up revealing, we know that she has lived in Hawaii for a couple months. Random. Right. Can you imagine that life? I'm just going to live in Hawaii.
Like their options and they have a lot of options.
Did so much wrong in this life.
I know.
Ugh. So they go for a few months after he's admitted to being on Tinder and I guess swapping inappropriate photos with women, but he claims to have never had a physical relationship with anyone on the app. She's fine with it. Move on. So Whitney is spilling her guts on how difficult this time was. And she even says, I've forgiven Taylor for this, but she's still hated on for the RSV video.
Yeah.
Of course, the internet is amazing and would have eventually found this out. But up until this moment in the show, I had no idea that Whitney was the RSV girl.
Thank you. Same. Oh my gosh. That makes me feel so much better.
I had absolutely no idea because she really is she looks different in every single thing you see her in too.
Mm-hmm. Those two are sketch. Now that we're saying it, both of them.
Right. For both of you to be shapeshifters? Come on.
Yeah, it's weird.
So thankfully, producers popped that clip right in, and collectively, the world remembered and was again horrified. And here's a clip of her actually discussing the video on the show.
I don't think I'm jealous of Taylor's clout. I think I was jealous of the forgiveness that Taylor got during that time of her whole swinger drama that I feel like I didn't get.
Wait, forgiveness for what?
Just like the RSV video. 2 weeks after I had given birth, Connor took Liam to our pediatrician. The doctor is testing his oxygen levels. And the doctor's like, these are scarcely low. Like, you need to take him to the emergency room right now.
So Connor rushes Liam to the emergency room. The first couple of days were a bit scary, but then he was getting better. And so I'm thinking, like, let's, do something fun. And I made a video. In that video, people felt that I was using my child's sickness for clout and for attention. Everyone was so quick to forgive Taylor online for swinging. And then I just feel like I still get shredded to pieces almost every single video. But no, I'm not jealous of Taylor's clout. And I feel like if I don't like her, I feel like that's a completely different conversation for a different time.
Right. So it happened, and now she has to remind everyone that it happened and that it was her.
Honestly, I mean, eventually Reddit would have told us, but watching producers put it in, it's like, oh, it's even worse than I remembered it being.
Yeah, and the story doesn't help at all.
No. And she basically says, like, she doesn't apologize. I saw her on something later, and she's like, no, I mean, I wasn't trying to get clout for it. But here's the thing. Our dear friend Laura Norton sent me a video that the internet did find of Whitney dancing in front of a different sick child again. And this time her baby has jaundice, and she's dancing in the same sweatshirt from the RSV video, by the way, which I was going to buy because that was going to be my Halloween costume, but I decided against it because it's very expensive to get that sweatshirt. And this is her dancing near the glow of the Billy light because her little one has jaundice. So she's now dancing next to this one. So either one happened and then the other. I don't know the order, but like, you got hate on one. Why would you do it the second time?
Yeah, it's also giving Munchausen by proxy,
right? Did your kids ever have RSV?
One did, yeah.
It's
daughter, very scary,
right? My daughter did, and we were in the hospital for 5 days. Never thought about dancing.
No,
nursed around the clock. Like it was just like it was some of the darkest days of my life.
So stressful. And the nebulizer.
Yes.
I mean, when it's their breathing, like you kind of don't really look away, let alone like face a camera and dance. I mean, I don't mean to be that judgmental, but I have to be. I think it's so messed up. It was
wild to watch somebody have a similar experience to what I had and think, oh my gosh, I was just sobbing all the time, like trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Back to the story. Whitney says, you know what's lucky? Taylor, you did this whole swinging drama. People have moved on and forgiven you, but I make one RSV video.
Except these are the same things.
I make one RSV video and no one can, forgive me for this. Like I'm just raked over the coals. Right after this, Taylor pipes up and shares this.
What's the news? Because I feel like there's like some tension going on. No, I'm super overwhelmed with like everything. Yeah, I've been pregnant for like, I would say 4 weeks.
Shut up.
Oh, wait. It's not good because like, I'm pretty sure I miscarried. So I'm going to the hospital every other day because like they have to like draw blood because I either miscarried because I had a ton of blood. I was like freaking out and calling my doctor and they're like, we're pretty sure you like miscarried then. Or I have an ectopic pregnancy. So basically the baby won't like survive.
You know that for sure?
An ectopic, it's no matter who has one, like it won't survive.
But what does that mean?
As it grows, it'll burst your fallopian tubes. It's been like depressing.
What the actual Taylor? What the hell are you doing? Immediately, right after sharing this trauma that's happening to me, for you immediately talk about something traumatic that's going on in your life.
The mind boggles. Like the whole thing is just wild.
You can tell that Taylor is just not even really processing what's happening.
It's way too casual, which is the disconnect you mentioned earlier, right? Like we're talking miscarriage or ectopic pregnancy, kind of skipping over the fact that she's pregnant at all with a very new partner.
Right.
That it was
right after her life kind of blew up.
Right. Like that's like a lot of trauma in a row. But then, well, first she says it really casual. But then Whitney in her confessional is mad.
And the confessional, keep in mind, isn't going to be the same day. It's going to be it could be weeks, months, a year apart.
Right.
And she's so angry about
down.
this.
Yeah. And she's like, how dare she take the spotlight off my trauma. I thought we were talking about my trauma.
I mean, girl, make another RSV video.
Oh
Stub your
my
toe. I don't know what to tell you.
gosh.
Taylor quickly had this pregnancy, and just as quickly she has a miscarriage. What she doesn't say at this point, or maybe it hadn't quite happened yet, but she actually had 2 miscarriages. One was
I know.
a chemical pregnancy and one was ectopic. All that to say, though, besides the emotional effect it was having on her, hormones are a beast. Pregnancy hormones are a beast on hormones. And having all these hormones in your body, dealing with the loss of 2 pregnancies, a divorce, lots of people online trash talking you, could really cause you to spiral,
For sure.
which is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
So at the end of that first episode, we get body cam footage and see Taylor being arrested. So let's get into that. So one thing that's important to note about Taylor and Dakota is that Dakota is actually in recovery for his addiction. So that's something we find out in that first episode. But Taylor basically says in her confessional in that first episode, like, well, I like to party. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm
You
still
know, like,
drinking.
yeah, she's doing her own thing. And Taylor did talk about, well, I watched a lot of TikToks, but on one of them saying, you know, I wasn't sealed in the church, so I don't have to do things like wearing the undergarments that you're supposed to wear.
Okay.
There's different things that she doesn't practice, I guess, as closely. So drinking for her, she like kind of had always drank even when she was younger. So she just,
Got it.
it wasn't as shocking, I guess. So that was just kind of part of her life at that point. So as I mentioned, they talk about this on the show. And part of that is because there is this contention between the two of them over her drinking. And on February 28th, 2023, Taylor's kids are home with a babysitter. She's at a party that's themed Dress Like Your Ex. And that night, she's drinking quite a bit. And so I watched, did you end up listening to any of the Nick Viall podcast?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So you heard about all this, but she said basically she's going home. She realizes like the alcohol is basically taking her walls down, and she's just angry at everything that's happened. And she doesn't blame the hormones, but I will tell you that I think that definitely escalated things, not excusing anything, but I'm sure that just added to everything. So Dakota, who is once again sober, is there at the house with her, and he wants to leave. She is not having that. She said that she wanted to be angry at someone. She was angry at him in that moment. And so she's getting angrier and angrier, telling him she hates him. She hates her life. She hates everything. Then she starts throwing things at him. And obviously this is something that's totally wrong, unacceptable. But I do believe her when she said, I didn't realize my daughter was on the couch.
It's so upsetting
to him.
I heard her talk about this. It was very upsetting.
Yeah, she said she thought her kids were upstairs with the babysitter, which is, by the way, I guess was still there at the time while this arguing's going on. So she ends up throwing this metal chair near Dakota, and at some point she hears her daughter crying. Now, Taylor says on the Nick Viall thing that her daughter was not hit on the head with anything. They thought maybe she was because she was crying, but they checked her out at the hospital and she had no injuries. But according to ABC4.com, her daughter had a goose egg bump on her head.
Oh,
so
shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dakota ends up having lacerations, swelling around his eyes. And police saw firsthand, it's on some of the footage, that as the police come in, Dakota and Taylor are walking down the hall, I believe. And as the officer's asking what happened, Taylor lunges at him.
Yeah.
In front of the police. They said she put him in a chokehold, which from a size standpoint, I don't even know how that happened.
I know. Well, if he was truly like not defending himself and let it happen, I guess that's how it would happen.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, he wasn't retaliating or reciprocating what was happening in the moment. Now the police have seen her go after him. He's telling her he has, marks and everything else. So she's arrested in her flannel shirt, her jeans, and a drawn-on beard on her face because, again, she's coming from a Dress Like Your Ex party.
Very unfortunate.
Which I'm sure that didn't help the situation either, right? Like, you're literally...
That's a terrible theme, by the way.
Especially for someone who's just gone through all of this. Like, it's fine if it's 10 years down the road, but what she was going through...
Too soon. Yes.
Way too soon.
Yeah.
So she's brought to jail and she's charged with aggravated assault, which is a third-degree felony. 2 counts of domestic violence in the presence of a child, third-degree felony. child abuse, which is a Class A misdemeanor, and criminal mischief, which is a Class B misdemeanor.
She didn't say all this on the podcast, right?
No, this is where research comes in.
Yeah. I'm really glad to know this because, I mean, wow.
I will say I did learn this, that in Utah, if domestic violence happens and the kids are at home, they don't actually have to witness anything. That's the presence of how they said there's 2 counts of domestic violence in the presence of a child. They were in the house. One was definitely close by, but the other one was not, but it doesn't matter. And I like that law.
Honestly, it creates an unsafe environment, whether you're 2 inches from it or 2 floors away. Like, it's not safe.
Absolutely. So I was like, that seems very appropriate.
Yeah,
that
I'm
should
okay with
happen.
that.
Yeah. So Taylor talks about this as being her rock bottom, which how could it not be your rock bottom? Mm-hmm. And she realizes, like, I need to change. She talks about in detail, like, I feel like she's very, very honest. I will give her that. Like, she just says it all and says, basically, I wasn't being a good mom at the time. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was angry. I was all of these things, and I was just spiraling, and how she doesn't really regret this happening because she needed it to change her life. So it's very important that I say all that about her wanting to become a better mother and a better mom, because when we meet her in the second episode, there's been, almost a year between that first episode and now. So very many months that she is pregnant, very pregnant with Dakota's baby. So as far as the crime goes, Taylor ends up pleading guilty to aggravated assault. And as a result, they dropped the other charges in September of 2023, which is huge. I was wondering, like, her ex-husband, like, how does that work? Like, if you're being charged with, I think she's very lucky. The 2 of them seem to get along. And he basically said, I know that's not you. Like, I don't know what was going on.
Wow.
Which I feel like is extending a lot of grace to someone in that situation.
Big time.
So with that, she was sentenced to 1 day in jail, with credit for the 1 day she was in when she was arrested. And she also had supervised probation, substance and domestic violence evaluations. If treatment was recommended, she'd have to do that. Doesn't say if she had to, but it sounds like she was in some stuff, as well as no violations of any laws above a minor traffic violation. And she couldn't have alcohol or illegal drugs, and couldn't visit establishments where alcohol is the main item of sale. Which I think that happens, right? Yeah, I know. But they didn't mention whether or not she could visit places who dabble in laughing gas with a side of Botox. So
ketamine, A-okay.
So since the show aired, there's lots of mom talk drama, and definitely drama between Taylor and Dakota, who, as we said, had a baby together on the show, a little boy. And as far as Taylor and Dakota go, Taylor has posted several cryptic TikToks recently alluding to a possible breakup, and said to one news outlet she's not sure what they are. Are they together? Are they not? She doesn't know. So these 2 are off and on, so they could definitely be back together before I finish the sentence. It does sound like Dakota was not happy with the way he was, quote unquote, portrayed on the show. Rebecca, I don't blame him. On the show, he appeared to be a controlling, love-bombing isolator. And this is a total aside, but October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I might as well mention that Moms and Mysteries is covering stories of people whose lives were taken due to domestic violence, and we'll also be sharing tools and resources, including red flags to look out for. Totally an aside.
Of course, and I'm so glad you mentioned. So important.
Yes. And so I'm going to put this here because really, I wasn't sure where to put this.
Okay.
Rebecca, I want Swig. And by that, I mean the amazing soda, Coke store that seems to brighten up Utah.
I need to go yesterday.
I need to go to there. That's what you need.
I want to go to there.
Oh, yeah. I want to go to there.
Their mixes seem gross. Their ingredients, terrible. I think we could come up with a perfect concoction.
Explain to me why half and half is going into all these things.
Disgusting.
That's
the arrest that should happen next.
Part 2. It will be that. But here's
cameras up.
Exactly. But they're all getting like 44-ounce Diet Cokes, which resonates with me. You know it I have one right next to me right now. Not a 40.
I finished mine, but I was right there with you, girl.
One? That's child's play. Oh, here's a fun fact. When Mandy and I on the other show, one time we got this really mean email, and I don't know exactly what the point was, what this lady was saying. She basically told her book club she wasn't going to listen to us, but I can't remember why she was mad. But she was like, also, Melissa, I know you're Mormon because you love wearing sweaters and drinking Diet Coke. And I was like, what?
You typecasting? It's like,
yeah, I was like,
well, then I am too.
I relate. Yeah, I was like, all right. But it was just so funny. I was like, what are you doing? But
that's really funny.
Tell me if you remember this. So when I was in high school, a lot of my friends were from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they were not drinking Coke. None of them drank Coke, Pepsi, anything.
I have no idea. I didn't have any friends.
Really?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I had friends. I didn't have any friends that were in the church.
Shockingly, these were my only friends. So it's not like I had them and others. This was it. And they were wonderful and like the smartest, funniest, prettiest people I've ever met, which is like a theme. But anyway, they weren't allowed to drink. And so I was like, what?
The rules have changed, I guess. I do think it's weird that they can't have coffee, but they can have like copious amounts of Diet Coke. Like if it's about caffeine or chemicals, it's not better.
It's not. So apparently in 2012, the church said that they're able to. I got it because I was like, did I gaslight myself, or it's like, is this the Mandela effect? Like, I remember them not being able to. The church said that you're able to drink caffeinated soda, but you can't drink hot drinks like coffee. But you can drink hot chocolate. I'll read you the official.
But why?
They clarified that Mormons can drink caffeinated soda because the church's health code only prohibits hot drinks like tea and coffee, not all caffeinated products. And after that was like released in 2012 or 2017, BYU started selling caffeinated colas on campus.
Whoa.
You have to avoid hot drinks like coffee and tea, but they've clarified you can't have iced coffee or lattes, frappuccinos, or other coffee drinks. So I don't get it because it's not a caffeine thing.
But it doesn't seem like it's a temperature thing.
It sounds like it is until it isn't. And so I don't really, if somebody please fill us in.
Mixed messages, very confusing.
Yeah. So, because I was like, is that the workaround? You drink iced coffee, but that's not
I was just going to say, I actually could be a great Mormon because I drink iced coffee year round. I don't drink hot coffee, but no, apparently not.
Listen, I got a sweater. I'm raring to put on as soon as it cools down a little bit in this room. And I'm drinking a Diet Coke, so I'm already there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody please fill us in because I can't pretend
we need to understand
to know all this. Yes. And so, Rebecca, while we're awaiting a second season, which by the way was renewed today, as you mentioned, we can't wait for the juicy stuff. Like watching Jen Affleck learn that she's not related to Ben Affleck.
Bless.
Maybe in real time. I really hope that that's what happens.
And she should have nothing to be embarrassed about,
Nothing.
by the way.
Nothing.
Her husband, on the other hand, has some explaining to do.
Her whole family. And like the church is like known for their record keeping. So like it's such a dumb thing to lie about.
Truly.
Such a dumb thing. We also might actually learn exactly what the Fruity Pebbles were about because there are lots of theories. I don't want to go into any of them.
Please, that's not for this show.
No. And rest assured, as long as $10,000 sex toy sponsorships are up for grabs, I think Mom Talk is going to make it after all. But Rebecca, ending this episode, I just wondered, could you rank these moments from the show from things you were most shocked by? And this is the Whitney edition.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you the first one. Whitney's exit of the group chat.
That was big.
Drama.
That was big.
The revelation that Whitney was the RSV mom. Bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whitney's anger over Taylor mentioning her miscarriage after she shared about her husband.
Terrible.
Whitney and her husband changing their looks like they were ready to be called for a reboot of the FX show The Americans at any moment.
Yes, they're in the witness protection. I'm sure of it.
Absolutely. And what about, lastly, and the one that I think made Laura Norton the angriest, Whitney sharing her third pregnancy by serving her family a pea stick cake.
Saw this, haven't recovered. Worst offense.
Absolutely. She claimed that she wiped it off with a Clorox.
She said it's in the container and that it's fine. No, it's not.
I wouldn't save that thing. All of it just makes me ill, but they ate around it. It's your third kid also. Get over yourself. Like, congratulations. Okay, so that's all I have, Rebecca. That's it.
That's a lot, Melissa. Couple of thoughts that I saved for the end.
Yes.
I'm really rooting for Taylor, and I hope that she matures out of this need to stay with this guy or even talk about their relationship status or even entertain staying with him. Like I feel like it's just a matter of time because I think she's smart and I think she's like getting stronger and but I understand she's also going to be raising a child with him and that is a big pull towards working it out. But gotta hope that she doesn't choose to go back with him.
Right.
And I realized this was mostly about Taylor, second place, Whitney, but remember when I said they all seem the same to me? Not anymore. Like by the end of the season, I was like, they're actually quite distinct from one another, except for, I think, is it just Demi and Jesse?
I think so.
They're the same. And there's a little bit of the other blonde, Macy, is like close. But for some reason, her role in it made her more distinct. But I feel like even personality-wise, like Jesse and Demi, everyone says Demi, but I think it's Demi. That's what she said on the podcast.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I don't know. Yeah, those two,
they're interchangeable almost.
They were, even by the end, I could mostly I couldn't tell you which one's married to which guy.
No, for sure
at all.
No.
And but that's how I felt with, and I think I already told you this, with Lisa Barlow and Meredith when I first started watching.
Yeah, I could see it though.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously that changed really quick. But this one, I kind of wasn't sure who was Fruity Pebbles and who wasn't.
Right, exactly. But it's really truly a phenomenon of 2024, and I can't wait for season 2.
Me too. And they'll have all the social media from the fallout from this. It's going to be great. And they're all signed back on to do it. First, Whitney was like an if, and now she's on it too.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that. And for anyone who hasn't watched, I hope that makes you excited to watch it. You should be, because it is just such a very specific thing. And
it is.
I feel so glad that I chose to go all in on this and not chimp crazy.
Yeah, no, this was a much better choice for you, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks. That was fun.
Of course. And Rebecca, I would like to pass the baton, but before I do, I would like to know what it is that you've been watching.
So glad you asked. So proud of myself for not telling you over the last week. And this is a show that I thought I was going to watch like 2 episodes ago because I saw a thumbnail for it on Netflix and I was like, that's my next show. But then I opened it up and it was like coming September 20 something. And I was like, no, you know what it is. I don't even need to say it. Just tell. I love that you know.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Is it your show too?
Haven't started it yet. Nobody Wants This.
Correct. Netflix.
Yes.
It's called Nobody Wants This. My clues were Netflix, rom-com, Los Angeles. Because Kristen Bell, Adam Brody, Rabbi would be too easy. Oh, gosh, I didn't bring up the blurb, but I'm sure everyone, I mean, it is literally everywhere. Like the internet is going crazy over Adam Brody. Understandably, he's adorable. Kristen Bell is great.
Did you watch Fleabag?
Yes.
Okay, so I've heard that there's, maybe it's just the priest thing, but that there's some kind of a connection between the two. And maybe it is just the priest thing.
Yeah, I guess it's like the religious
leader
and falling in love with like a regular person and also a person who's not religious and kind of flawed. But this is such a lighter, I mean, Fleabag is kind of like dark and you saw it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. This is like PG.
Okay.
Comparatively. But I thought I really wanted to hate it because for a couple reasons. Kristen Bell, my nemesis.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's married to
your
husband.
Yeah.
But she's so stupidly talented and extremely watchable. But I do think you should watch it if... Oh, it was too many episodes.
You're like,
I just remembered.
Watch it. It's way too much to watch.
My friend Nadine and I were like, that should have been an hour 45 movie, not... It didn't need to be episodic. Okay, so the blurb says, an agnostic sex podcaster, that's Kristen Bell, and a newly single rabbi fall in love, discovering if their relationships survive their wildly different lives and meddling families. That's poorly written, Netflix. Sorry. Discovering if their relationships survive? What is that? Okay,
Yikes, back to the drawing board.
Nope, it's out there and published. Really good, smart romantic comedy. Feels like rom-coms of days gone by.
Ooh.
If you're an older millennial, Gen Xer, you're gonna like it. It's gonna resonate. It's not as like slapsticky as some of the newer ones.
Good.
And the secondary characters, like the siblings of the primaries and the parents, coworkers, are fantastic. And I was almost as invested, if not more, in some of their subplots.
Oh, okay.
Which really is a good show because then you're not just like, this is filler.
Right.
I really enjoyed it.
Nice. The maybe her podcast co-host, I don't remember what her name is, but she was on not Severance. What was the one about the rich people?
Billions.
Kind of like that.
Succession.
She was on
Justine
Succession and she was
Lupe
great.
She's beautiful. It's her sister and co-host. They're sisters. Yeah, she was very, very good. And the ex-girlfriend of Adam Brody plays a small but great role in it. And she's fantastic. Like, really, really good.
Oh, good. Yeah. Any clips I've seen, they've looked great. But it's one of those things, just starting a new show where you're like, I have to really be into wanting to take this journey. Now that you've told me it's really long.
I feel like it was 10 episodes and I feel like it's 10.
That's crazy. Now,
it should have been 8.
Remember when shows used to be 26 episodes?
No, I know. It's so, well, but we were supposed to watch them for a whole year.
True. Yeah.
Right? Like they know we're binging now. So when you love a show, 10 is great, but this one just really could have been cut off at 8, but still recommend.
Fair. Mm-hmm. I will definitely check it out. My sister recommended it to me last night. So it's already in my head.
I think it will be a good palate cleanser for you from the other trash and darkness you watch. But speaking of which, tell me what you're watching.
Speaking of trash
Give me
and
the
darkness.
clues. Yeah.
Okay, so Netflix, Alabama, and prison. How about that? Netflix, Alabama, prison.
Wait, there's so much in Alabama about prison. Is it like a true doc situation?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Okay. I don't think the name is, well, I guess the name is okay. It's called Jailbreak, Love on the Run. It's about Vicky White and Casey White.
Someone I know is watching this. They didn't say the title, but I didn't know it was Alabama. But that jailbreak story, which I actually have heard of before.
Yeah, that was very interesting. In April 2022, a love-struck guard and a murder suspect fled an Alabama jail together. And this is their true story of their unbelievable run from the law. So I really enjoyed this because I remember when this happened. Again, it was on TikTok. So people who knew the guard were talking about this and saying, we never expected this. And I feel like they were actually gone for several days to a week. I watched this like a week ago, so I can't remember exactly, but it's all about their time planning to go. It's recorded phone calls, which she knew were going to be recorded between the two of them. Some get a little more steamy than I would prefer.
She must know something we don't know. Like they don't flag every conversation.
Absolutely.
They can't listen to
she
them
knew all of it.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of made it interesting. Like she knew how to get him out of there. She knew they even did like a test run the day before to see about getting out and coming back in. So like, which I'm like, okay, she sold her house, got all the cash from it, like sold it for less than it was worth because they were going to go on the run. And I won't share how it ends, but even that's, I mean, it's sad, but like this was like it for her. She was in love with him and she was going to do this. And people think he was actually in love with her. I don't know. I think he was using her, but I don't know. It's actually very fascinating and an easy watch.
Was he just in jail, like awaiting trial? Like he was charged but not convicted. Is that true?
So he was transferred to the Lauderdale County Detention Center in August of 2020. He was serving a 75-year sentence for a 2015 crime spree.
Oof. Okay, so he was convicted. It wasn't like charged.
I think it was, they were maybe moving him. I'm not exactly sure. Sorry, I can't remember that part. But he shot a woman during a carjacking. Killed an ex-girlfriend's dog. Like apparently some of the prisoners knew something was going on and she would like put money on their books to keep them quiet and stuff. So like there was a whole thing going on. Like it was only going to end with her getting him out of there. And that's exactly what happened. So
I do want to watch this. Someone was talking about it. I mean, really the heart wants what it wants, you know?
Yeah.
She made it
happen. Why she wanted that, but that's what she wanted. So anyway, yeah, I thought that was good.
There's so many interesting facets to that. Yeah. Why him? But she has all the power, all the control. Mm-hmm. She gets to save. She gets to like rescue him out of there. It's probably a very cool feeling.
I'm sure for about a day. And then it seems to
and then it's you and that dude.
There's a 911 call that like, I guess maybe she butt dialed or something. Like towards the end of what
This is
happens with
amazing.
him.
Oh my gosh.
It's intense. But yeah, so definitely check that out.
I will.
But Rebecca, oh my gosh, I just want to know what we're going to do next time because I'd like to pass the baton to you. I keep saying baton. I don't care about that word. I just want to pass it over.
I was like, what would the mom talk equivalent would be? It would be a vibrator. And I don't think I'm going to say that either. Pass the soda.
Okay, let's do that.
Well, I don't think you're going to, you know what? You've surprised me before, but I'd be shocked if you or anyone could get this.
Okay.
For reasons that are not anyone's fault, but that I can't say.
Wow. Okay.
A true mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your clues are Prime, as in Amazon Prime Video. London, 2002.
You love to do things in Britain or England or
I really
whatever.
do.
You do.
I'm a, what is it called? Anglophile. I have landed in England once again. So sorry, not sorry. But I am actually riveted by this story.
Ooh.
And spent a lot of time looking into it already last night, which I don't usually have. I haven't usually watched this much or read this much at this point in the story. So, or in the process, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm very excited.
I'm excited too. Yeah, I have no idea. So this will be fun.
Yeah, I think it will be. And this was fun too. And yeah, if you want to go deeper into Mom Talk and you've already watched it, the Nick Viall show.
Oh, yeah.
He has like a 17-hour interview with Taylor, and then all the other girls come on.
I couldn't
that one
do that.
Was a lot. Yeah, there are too many voices. And then Ronnie and Ben are recapping it, and it's fantastic. So
absolutely. That's like anything they recap, I have to watch just to be able to listen. So,
with the exception of Chimp Crazy for me, yes.
With the exception of Real Housewives of Dubai for me. So, otherwise, I'm good.
Yeah, I actually listened to a lot of those and didn't watch it just to listen to them do them. Well, let's do this again in a couple weeks. Until then, everybody, take care. Thanks for listening. Leave a rating and review, and you can follow us on Instagram at Criminality Show.
Absolutely. And Rebecca, you have a new show coming out on October 7th. Please tell the people about it before we go.
Gosh, thank you for reminding me.
You're very welcome.
It's here. So it's a little departure from crime, but kind of criminal stuff. So it's called Thank You for Your Interest, and it's a show about professional rejection. And I went through a bit of a season of that earlier this year, and it kind of inspired this whole show. And we have people calling in and telling their most heartbreaking, hilarious, hellish job rejection stories. And God, they're good. They're really good, funny, sad stories. I do think it will leave you feeling optimistic and more connected with people.
Yeah.
And we've even have our first guest is like a friend of the pod.
Yes.
Yeah. So thanks for mentioning it. Thank you for your interest. The trailer's out now wherever you get your podcasts.
Absolutely. And we will have it in our show notes, so it's easy to click and get there.
Yeah, and if you happen to have a job rejection story, we're taking stories for season 2, so that the website's there. You can submit your story.
Oh, and you can also leave a voicemail, right? With like weird.
Yeah, we also have a segment that's called Not Safe for Work, and those are just shorter, 5-minute or less work stories. So it doesn't have to be rejection; it can just be whatever crazy what happened on the job, because there's so much.
Absolutely.
So if you have one of those, call us and let us know.
Yeah, I can't wait. So let's do it again in 2 weeks, and we'll see you guys then.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.